Kristen Welker at the White House. Thanks. Just moments ago, the Senate began its latest session on the debt crisis that is the United States on the brink of default. Joined now by Democratic Senator from New Hampshire, Shaheen. Senator, thank you for being here. Can the Senate create a bill that won't be dead on arrival at the House?
Well, I think we've got to do that. The fact is, time is running out. Everybody you've talked to this morning has said that. We need to get in place a compromise, and that means everybody has to give something up to come to an agreement. What I'm hearing from my constituents in New Hampshire is that they're willing to sacrifice, but they want to see some action in Congress, and they want to see a compromise. So I think we've got to do that, and we've got to do it in a way that provides some certainty for business and the markets, because what we saw was the worst week on Wall Street in over a year. I'm hearing from people who are concerned about their retirement accounts, small businesses who say they can't hire, who are worried about whether they're going to have to lay people off. It is time for us to get this done and to do it now for the good of the country.
Senator, stay with me. I just want to listen now to Leader Reid as he's speaking on the Senate floor just for a moment. Let's take a listen together.
And disrupt the essential business of government unless they get policy concessions. They would never have been able to enact through legislation. So they're going through the, as I understand, on the House side, an effort to vote on our legislation, setting up a two-thirds standard to get this done. Recognizing, of course, Mr. President, that I will outline here in a minute, that a filibuster at this late hour here in the Senate, and when so much is at risk, is really irresponsible. And to say it for economy at risk is an understatement, and that's for sure. A majority vote, I repeat, was good enough for the Speaker's proposal in the House, but Republicans believe it is good enough for the Senate today. Rather than filibuster, I ask my Republican colleagues to work with Democrats to make our proposal better. We've offered a reasonable, rational way for Republicans to help us avert default. But let me tell you about the legislation issue, how we believe how reasonable our legislation is. This legislation was written by Democrats.
Okay, Senator Shaheen, we are listening to Leader Reid there, and he was mentioning the possibility of a filibuster. Is that a real concern?
Well, it is. The fact is, what we've heard from our Republican colleagues is that the vote tonight at 1 o'clock is going to be on the motion to proceed to the bill, and that they intend to filibuster that, so it's going to take 60 votes in order to get it passed. If they had not been planning to filibuster, we could have gotten this proposal passed last night on a majority vote. We could already now be negotiating with the House. So it's unfortunate that this is a holdup at a time when the country is in such dire straits.
What is that compromise that you were alluding to earlier? What will that look like as Leader Reid and McConnell come together?
Well, you know, as governor, I did a lot of negotiating with the legislature in New Hampshire that was Republican, and what I understood and what they understood was that when you negotiate, everybody gives something up. I don't particularly like the proposal that's in front of the Senate right now, because I thought it should be more comprehensive, that it should include revenues and defense and mandatory programs, as well as discretionary spending. But I understand that at this 11th hour, we have got to put aside our own preferences and do what's in the best interest country. What I want to see is our colleagues on the other side of the aisle be willing to do the same.
So many are watching this process outside of Washington, asking, wondering what is happening there. What would you say to those in the public, those viewers out there, that look at this and basically are quite discontent with what's happening, and that voice is growing louder every day?
Well, it is. They're frustrated, and I share that frustration. It's hard for me to understand how we could be at this point when most people who have looked at this issue understand the dire consequences that a default would have. It would raise interest rates, not just for the federal government, but for people who have mortgage payments and car payments and credit cards. And for those people who want to see us make cuts in spending at the federal level, it would increase the cost of borrowing in a way that would wipe out the savings that we would make through any cuts. So the consequences are really catastrophic, and it's hard to understand why we can't sit down in a room and everybody come to some agreement.
Senator Shaheen, thank you.
Thank you.
No doubt the reputations on both sides of the aisle have taken a bit of a hit from this debt debacle. Just how, though, will it affect President Obama? When all is said and done, who will come out on top?